there's always going to be another hot girl that you want to fuck. I'm just going to call it what it is, which is basically no matter what girl you find, what girl you're in a relationship with, what girl you're committed to, there will at some point be another one, right? So at some point in that relationship, you're gonna have kind of done everything that you want to do, right? Like you're gonna have hooked up a lot and you're gonna get to a point where like you're a little bit bored of it, right? And at that time, there are gonna be other ones that you are really attracted to and that you want to hook up with, even though you already have a great girl. This happens to every single guy. As far as I can tell, there's kind of like no way around it. Now, when I was younger, and if you're watching this and you're younger, you just hook up with lots and lots of girls. I don't know any other way to say it, but like when I was in my 20s, and when I was in my 30s, it's like just getting after it, right? Like not really super committed relationships, more just like really, really getting after it. And to a certain degree here, there's some amount of vulnerability, right? So like when you're young and you're single, the vulnerable thing is like stepping, you know, like seeing that girl that you find attractive and like going after it, right? And like having all the adventures and all the like sexual adventures and like dating multiple women and just like doing your thing, which your boy definitely did, right? So you run that program for a while where you're a single guy, you're just like getting after it. You're getting after it like every weekend, you know, not really super committed on the relationship front, and you're just kind of like running through it and having a great time, okay? Now, in my experience, eventually what happens is that starts to get old after a while. And, you know, every guy's a little bit different, right? It might be after 10 girls, 15 girls, 20, 50, 100, 200, whatever. Eventually, you get to a point where you're kind of like, you want something different, right? And basically what happens is vulnerability shifts in your system. So at some point it was more vulnerable for you to like go out, be single, date multiple, like step up, right? But at some point that's really no longer like the vulnerable option, right? So at some point that is not really doing it anymore. Now, I've been through a good amount of relationships and a good amount of breakups and pretty brutal ones. So I want to share with you kind of like the progression that I see when a guy's like single and he's chasing after it and he's having just a great time and he's like lusting after lots of women and having like lots of like great, amazing, hot sex with tons of different women. At some point, the want for something deeper comes online, and you realize that doing it the way that you have been doing it is only going to get you so far, because like the depth and the vulnerability isn't there. Like at some point as a man, you hit a point where you realize that like there's a deeper game to be played with more vulnerability. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you have to do this. Like, you can just keep running through women and having a great time and hooking up with them in their cars or airplanes or behind dumpsters or all the things. Like, you can just keep doing that. Like, that's all good. Like, I've definitely done that for a long time. So don't feel like you have to switch until it's like time for you to switch. But what I'm sharing in this video is like eventually there's a switch to be made, and you'll feel it because you're just like, dude, like I've already done this so much, like I want something else. Okay. And so the deeper offer here is commitment, but that's because it creates more vulnerability. There's like more juice there there's more depth there because you're making yourself vulnerable. Like, there's just more there. So, you know, don't feel like you have to make that switch until like it's time for you to make that switch. Like, run the other playbook, homie. Like, run it into the ground for sure. Like, enjoy the shit out of it. Like, I'm not advocating for any guy to like rush that earlier part where it's like they're in the thrill, they're in the chase of it, like they're in the hunt of it. Like, do it up, baby. Like, go after that 100%, ride it till the fucking wheels fall off, and like enjoy yourself and have an amazing time. So what I'm sharing in this video is more that like eventually there's a switch because you just realize that like there's no more depth or vulnerability here. Like, there's no more emotional growth here. And you realize that that the play is vulnerability, like full send, going for it, and that there's more emotional depth and there's more fulfillment and there's just more on offer than just the front end. Now, when you do this, it's going to take some time for your system to switch because like transparently your like sex drive has been more tied to like the chase and the lust and the validation. And when you're in a like stable relationship, like that's really not the case anymore. Like you can't like recreate that type of thing. You can to like a certain degree, but like not a ton. I mean, you can to a certain degree, but not a ton. So like your whole system and drive is like oriented one way and not necessarily conducive to like a stable, like committed relationship, which is like where all the juice is, okay? So this comes back to like my original point in the video, which is there will always be another girl that you find attractive that you want to hook up with, right? Like, it's just what it is. Like, you'll be in a relationship no matter what the girl is, how good of a fit she is, how committed you are. Like, eventually you will hit a space, which is totally normal, which is like, hey, you've kind of like run down that first part of the sex drive, which is like, you know, the lust and the attraction and the whatever, and the physical can like kind of only take you so far. So you'll see another girl that you're like, damn, you know what I mean? Like, it's just what it is, homie. Any guy that's like a legit motherfucker that's like actually been stepping up and then like actually goes for the vulnerability is gonna feel it. Now, the benefit for you, if you've been a guy that's been stepping up consistently, which is the right thing, is that you've seen through that illusion so many times because you've been with a lot of women and you've like run the course of like the lust and the sexual attraction and everything, and you've seen through it because you've done it so much that you're like, oh, I'm like ready for something different, okay? But even though you're ready for something different, what's gonna happen is you're in that relationship and eventually it gets stable, it gets safe, and it gets somewhat boring and you see another woman, okay? So what I wanna invite you to is, first of all, to understand that this is gonna happen no matter what. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with the relationship that you're in. It doesn't mean that you should leave the relationship that you're in. This would happen no matter what. And I'll even say this, if you left the current girl and you went with the new one, the cycle would repeat. Like, the same thing would happen, right? The same thing would occur again with the new one. So I just want you to like see that like that it's gonna happen no matter what, and that it doesn't mean that anything's wrong, okay? So for me, if the pull is really strong, then to me, like, that guy may not have finished like phase one. I'm not here to like tell you what to do, but like, if it's like really strong, it's like, yo, homie, this guy should still just be single and like out in the streets, like doing his thing, okay? Hopefully for you, when you see it, you've seen through that illusion enough, like you've done that enough that you're like, yeah, I've done that 1,000 times. And I know that like, if I do that, well, maybe not 1,000, but you know what I mean? And I know if I do that, that like, that I'm just gonna end up back in the same place, okay? So once you've kind of like seen through that illusion, it's like, okay, cool, Todd, like I see through the illusion, I still have these feelings. Okay, cool. Your sex drive has been, if you've really been getting after it as a guy, has been wired towards the, variety, the novelty, like the lust, the attraction, whatever. And that's like the main focus and like what you've like kind of oriented your neurology for. And now you're inside of a relationship, and the other type of like sex, so that first type of sex might be like the more chase, validation, lust based, which you can still get some of that in a relationship. But there is a different type of sex that's available, which is kind of more like the love based and the committed based. Transparently, I don't know that much about it. Like, I'm still kind of like working my way through it, just being honest. But what I'm inviting you to is like, this is a normal thing to have happen. There is allowing for your neurology to kind of switch to a different type. There's an understanding of like, oh, I've put a lot of focus and emphasis on this first type, and there's an offer for something else and for something deeper. The other thing is like bringing that sexual energy into the relationship, like in a safe and stable way. Like that still allows you to be very vulnerable, but like, talking to your woman about it, like bringing that sexual energy in and like working with your partner on like how to bring that into the relationship in a way that's like healthy and like works for both of you. Now, I mean, there are some people that have relationships and they're like swingers or whatever. So like, there's that approach to it. But the point of this video is more talking about the phenomenon of like, you're going to be inside of a relationship. You are gonna get bored at some point, and you're gonna see women that you are attracted to. And that is totally normal. That would occur no matter who you're with. If you jumped ship, you would just be repeating the cycle, which you've hopefully already done enough of so that you see through the illusion of it and like you see it for what it is, which is like, hey, this is just like the next, shiny thing. And that you basically say, okay, there's more vulnerability and depth, there's more fulfillment and love, and there's a more beautiful life by staying inside the committed, vulnerable relationship and working to like bring that energy in. And, there's no one way to do that, and I'm not here to like tell you how to do that. I'm also not here to tell you that you need to take that ride. I'm not saying that you should, go the vulnerable route and go the committed route. I'm not telling you to do that. Like, if you want to stay in the pocket on the other one and just, have your life be just, the lustful and the chase, it's like, so be it. Like, that's okay. Not every man is going to want to do the full tilt. But I can just share about me, your boy Todd, like it's the vulnerability, right? Like it was more vulnerable for me to be like dating and single and doing my thing and like really putting out there until it wasn't. And then it's like more vulnerable to like be in a committed relationship and like much less like bend the knee and like really do a full send, which is like fucking A, like super vulnerable, man. Like, holy shit. And maybe it's not this way for every guy. I can't like really tell you what it's like for other guys. I can just tell you as a guy that's like really gotten after it in life, that like that's very, very vulnerable. So I'll share more on this. This is just my first video on this topic, but we'll dive into this topic and we'll kind of like, I'll pull it apart a few different ways to see like what works and what lands for you guys. My email is below this video. If you want to chat or connect or like, do some coaching or discuss kind of like what you're working on and like where you're at in your journey, then drop me a message. All right. Love you guys. Todd Out, but I shall return.